Hi there, this is Emma from Brushstrokes, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to paint our lovely Michael and our lovely Dwight from The Office. So excited to get painting, so let's get started. In your paint kit, you should have gotten several colors. You will have gotten skin tone, some primary colors, and we are going to be using those for both Michael and Dwight. But each one is a little bit different, so I'm going to be doing both Michael and Dwight together, rotating back and forth. My Dwight canvas is down there, and these are obviously already pre-traced, which is how they're going to come when you purchase a paint kit. So I'm going to start with my biggest brush, and I have my skin tone. I'll just get a little bit of skin tone on my biggest brush. You don't want to do too much, and I'm just going to lightly brush it directly over my tracing. And you'll see that my tracing isn't going anywhere. If I do a thin coat, let me make sure that's showing through. I love how right when I said that, I accidentally covered some of it up, but I really want to scrape it on there, do a nice thin coat. That's why I want just a little bit of paint on my brush as I am going. Off there. Got a lot of my eye. There we go. Now we can see my eye again. So I'm doing a thin coat. I'm really just scraping my paint onto my canvas very, very lightly. I'm using this as a buffer to just move it around my canvas and push it into all those little divots in my canvas. And I'll start with all the skin tones, and I will go back over all of my other colors and overlap them. Because really, we're just going to be doing the skin, and then we're filling everything else in black. I have a brush here. Again, just very, very lightly swing it around, not worrying about any of the particulars. I'll go back in with my smallest brush and fix that. Let's get our hand as well. Fill that in with paint. Nice skin tone. Let's see, what color is our cup? Our cup is going to be blue. So I can just paint over that. You can still see the lines if you just scrape it really lightly. I think that's all the skin on Michael, so let's switch to our Dwight. We're going to do the same thing. And my skin tone, I mixed it myself. So mine might be a little bit more tan than the one you will get, because yours will already be pre-mixed. So very lightly, just a little bit of paint on my brush. I'm scraping over, same thing, all of the areas where skin will be. Just very, very lightly scraping. And I recommend, you just pause this video and you watch The Office as you're painting this. No one really wants to listen to me this whole time. So go ahead and enjoy yourself and watch The Office as you paint favorite characters. Maybe these aren't your favorite characters. Maybe Ryan's your favorite character. No, just kidding, Ryan would never be anyone's favorite character. Everybody hates Ryan. Okay, sorry Ryan. Let's get all that skin. It's going to be that whole neck. You can see there's some weird other shapes. We're going to fill those in with black later. And here's his ear right here. Fill that in as well. For some reason that's a little bit darker. That's a-okay. He doesn't have a hand. So that is it for him. So let's fill in some other colors for his head. For his hair, it's going to be brown and a little bit of white. So I'm going to take my big brush, I'm going to mix brown and a tiny bit of white, and I can just fill in this hair area. Brown and white, just scrape in all of that area. I'm trying to go the direction the hair would go. Mostly brown, a little bit of white. Of course, we're going to get those signature, there's a lot of white, we're going to get those signature little flyaways. So as we're going down, you can see where the flyaways are. I'm just going to lift my brush up as I flick down, flick and lift, flick and lift. That's going to create his little flyaways. Of course, I want to make sure I get those sideburns. That's what that little blob is on the side. Got a little bit of sideburn action over here as well. And I can go back and adjust things later. My smallest brush. This brush is pretty big. Now, while I've got that brown and white, he's got a brown jacket on. So I will go ahead and I'm going to try to pay attention. This color is a little bit darker, so I'm going to try to paint within the shapes. And later I will go back and I will outline it in black, because this is a little bit more cartoony, but for now, I'm just going to stick with my brown and a little bit of white and try to show where those shapes are. So I'm doing my kind of triangle down here, filling that in that shape, so I don't lose where that shape is. If you are having a hard time seeing, you can get a little bit of black on your brush, and you can kind of refine those shapes just so you know where they are for later. There we go. Let's get, oh no, that's not part of, tell I don't wear suits very often. I don't know what part is what, but I'm going to fill in the sides over here. And again, once you do that, if you want to take a little bit, tiny bit of black on your brush, you can kind of create little triangles where the shapes are supposed to be, so later we know where they are. But I want to fill in the full jacket. Smooth it all out, because we know Dwight loves his ugly brown jackets. Awful. Okay, so he's also got his very light yellowy shirt, so I can wipe my brush off and I can get some white and this dark yellow for him, and I can just start to fill in his shirt. Now if I scrape it very lightly, got my napkin down here, if I scrape it very lightly, I should be able to see the little collar. My brush has a lot of brown on it still, but whatever yellow tone you want, I use that yellow and white. I can still see through and see those tracing lines. So mixing yellow and white. Very close to his skin tone, isn't it? A little bit more brown in it. There we go. Let's see, I'm going to scrape away so I can still see that line. Perfect. Now let's switch to Michael, because I know you Michael people have been waiting. Throw him aside. We've got our lovely Michael. So Michael has some brown-black hair, so I'm going to wipe my brush off and I'm going to get some brown and I'll add a tiny bit of black to it. And I will just start to fill in his head. Maybe I'll outline that first and start to fill that in with some brown and black. And if you've got extra paint on your brush and you want to rinse it off in between steps, you absolutely can. Pulling his hairline down. Go. Filling it all in, being very careful, and of course if you want to switch to your smallest brush at any point, you can, but you can see those little lines where his hair goes into his head. That's totally fine to leave, especially if you're thinking of season 1 where he had some hair loss issues. That's totally fine to leave in there. So I can rinse my brush off in my water, dry it off, and I can get some white and a little bit of black, get some gray, and I can start to fill in his jacket. So I'll take this brush and just start to fill in his whole jacket. And like before, I'm trying to keep those shapes intact. So if I want to take a little bit of black, outline those shapes so I remember where they are. That works. And then start to get more gray. Fill in the rest of his jacket. So gray, I don't know if I said this, I should have said it, it's just white and black. Mixing my white and black together. And of course we're going to fill in all the way out to our edge. There we go. Okay, now to the other side. I'm going to fill in my whole jacket. Now, he does have this little cuff, which is going to be blue, so we're going to ignore that cuff for now. And fill everything else in gray. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, yeah, that is gray. Sometimes I gotta check. He's got kind of a crinkle in his jacket over there. And let's see, I kind of lost one of my lines. So there's a little line right there. Oh, and I almost forgot this bottom area, also in gray. There we go. Let's see, what else for him? I think while this is still wet, I can mix in a little bit more black into my gray to get a darker gray. And I can actually add some wrinkles, create a curved line down, some just lines going up and down will create a few wrinkles. So I can do one maybe there, maybe there. Very, very lightly, and I'm brushing it in. So it's kind of creating wrinkles in his fabric. That's optional. Okay, so I'm going to add his light blue shirt. I'm gonna rinse my brush off, dry it off on my napkin. And wow, my colors have gotten crazy. I'm going to get some blue, if I can get any solid blue, and I will mix it with a little bit of white to get a light blue. And I'll use that to fill in these areas. Now if you want to switch to your smallest brush, you absolutely can. I think I might actually switch to my smallest brush for this part. So I've got my smallest brush, filling in all of these little areas blue in here, right up to our mug. And that is his tie over there. So you don't want to fill in the tie. Little rectangle down there. I can switch between my biggest and littlest brush. Ooh, that was kind of dark. Never mind. All good. Get some more white, smear that in. And up here we've got a little bit of a triangle of blue. Fill that in with my smallest brush. Smudge, smudge, smudge. Push it all around, doesn't have to be perfect. And then, of course, his sleeve down here is going to be blue. I'm going to try switching back to my biggest brush one more time. Let's see if it's too dark or too filled with water. There we go, that worked all right. Fill that on in with light blue. Put that back in the water. I'm going to smear it around one more time so it looks kind of wet and drippy. My brush had a lot of water on it. Okay, so we've got all of that. Now you can fill the whole background with blue and white. So make sure your brush is pretty dry. These brushes hold a lot of water. And you are just going to mix a bunch of blue and white. You're going to smear it all over the background. Now you can do whatever color you want for the background. It does not have to be blue and white. I just felt like it was kind of Michael-like or business-like, maybe, to do blue and white. So while our Michael folks are doing that, our Dwight folks can use just solid. Let's rinse my brush off and dry it off. This brush holds a ton of water. Okay, so I can just use solid yellow. That's what I can do for the whole background. Giant scoops of yellow, just filling in our whole entire background with just plain yellow. So my Michael folks are doing blue and white. My Dwight folks are doing just plain yellow. Fill that whole thing in. So let me switch my canvases. Whatever you're working on, keep working on it. Okay, so my Michael turned a little reddish because I ran out of blue and white and got some red in it. It's fine, you live and you learn. That's because I was holding it kind of crooked. So I'm actually going to throw a little bit more blue and white on here because mine looks a little funky. Maybe I made it more funky. It is what it is. So now we can do the fun part, which is going to be details. I accidentally covered up some of Michael's hair, so I am going to grab some more brown and try to get a little bit of his hair back before I do anything. He's got more of a poof on the top. Sure, why not? It's kind of tricky to see from the side, so you'll just have to watch and laugh at me as I royally screw up. So now I can grab solid black and start to outline everything. So I'm going to take my smallest brush, just a little bit of paint on my brush in black paint, and I'm going to very carefully start to fill in all of my little spots with black. I can still see my outline. Just fill it all in with black and you'll see it really spooky, really comes together. Go. That looks like an eye. I'm just doing this very, very carefully, very slowly with my smallest brush and just solid black. Fill in all of our details in our face. And now we're going to start outlining the whole thing, outline everything else. Outline the ear, inside the ear, outline all the hair, all of the jacket, everything. And this whole little piece right here is going to be black. And we'll need to fill in the tie. I almost forgot about my tie. And then of course we're going to fill in the world's best boss. Now if you've got a Sharpie, just feel free to use the Sharpie. You don't have to do it with a paintbrush. Beautiful. Okay, that's everything for Michael. I did forget to do his tie, so let's go ahead and get some red and blue. Or you can do is tie whatever color you want. I'm gonna get some red and blue and mix a little bit of white in there. And then give him a nice purple tie. This brush is so tiny, I'm gonna switch to my bigger brush for this really quick. And of course, outline it in black. There we go. Now, before we finish Michael, let's work on Dwight for a little bit. So Dwight has the same exact thing. We're just going to fill in all of our black spots, or all of the spots that, you know, are little bubbles for where paint goes, and then we'll do his tie. But first we're gonna outline everything in black. I think it's important to note that this little area will be black, and then that whole area, that little triangle down there, will also be black, as will this little triangle on his cheek. Okay, so let's do his tie as well. His tie is gray and beige, so I'm going to get some gray, which is going to be white and black. And I'm just going to start doing diagonal stripes to the right. Well, you can do really his tie however you want. If you've got a favorite episode with a favorite tie, by all means do that, but this is what I'm doing. Wow, I did it the exact opposite of the sample, you know. It is what it is. I'm going to grab some white now, mix it with my beige, or my dark yellow like before, and get a beigey color. And I'll use that as my other color. If they mix together a little bit, that's okay. A little bit of mixing action never hurt anyone. Fill that in, maybe take a little bit more time on all of these steps, honestly. And then I'm going to get some gray and I'm going to slice down the middle of my yellow. There you go. Beautiful. Again, 10 out of 10 recommend taking more time on all these steps. So I'm going to rinse my brush off, and an optional step for both of them is taking a little bit of white. And if you want to very carefully, and I might recommend doing this once it's dry, go in where the whites of the eyes would be with a little bit of white. Now this, again, totally optional, and I do recommend waiting till it's dry so you don't have a bunch of smearing gray weirdness going on in your eyes. That's not ideal. Okay, that's enough for Dwight. He is done. Say goodbye. Let's grab Michael and we can do the same thing for him. Now, little disclaimer that I should have said from the get-go, I'm painting this from the side and I'm trying to do it quickly, so this is not my best work. Please don't judge me. But I'm going to take a little bit of white, just go right underneath the pupils. Yeah, I'm painting from the side, so actually don't really know what these paintings look like until I stand back and see them. Now, of course, if you want to touch anything up, you absolutely can. But that is it for both Michael and Dwight. Thank you so, so much. I hope this was informative and helpful. These brushes are reusable, so if you want to rinse them out, you definitely can. Make sure you wash your hands off. This is permanent paint, so we got to be very, very careful. And send us some pictures of your finished work. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.